It's Anna again coming to you. I have a new story this time. This time we're going to tell the story of the Great Family. And look what I have here, the desert box. Woo! So this story happens in the desert, and obviously I can't fit the whole desert in our classroom here, but I have a piece of it right here in this box. Everybody loves the desert box. All right, so everybody get comfy. Find a good spot and make sure you can hear my voice. And here is the story of the Great Family. The desert is a dangerous place. The wind is always blowing and it changes the direction of the sand, so it's hard to see where you've come and where you're going. It's very hot in the desert. During the day, the sun scorches your face. But at night, it's very cold. People have to wear special clothes to be in the desert. There's no water in the desert, so very little things grow. The desert is a dangerous place. Here is the great city of Ur. Here is the river Euphrates. Here is the city of Haran. The people of Ur thought that there were many gods. In fact, there were gods of the trees, and there was a specific god for the grass, and there was a god for the water, and there was a god for the sand. But there was a family in Ur that believed that there was only one God, and he was everywhere. They weren't sure about it, but this is what they thought. Two people in that family were named Sarai and Abram. Sarai and Abram's family left Ur and traveled toward Haran. There were children with their family that was traveling with. There were old people. There were cows and sheep. And they traveled along the river Euphrates. They stayed close to the river because it helped them guide where they were going. During the day, they were able to drink the water from the river. At night, they would put up tents and sleep under the stars. It was a long journey, but they traveled together as a family. When they got to Haran, the people of Haran came out to greet them. Abram went out to the edge of the desert and prayed to God. And God came so close to Abram, and Abram came so close to God, that Abram knew that God wanted him to keep going. So Abram and his family continued west of Haran. Sarai was with them. Even Abram's brother Lot went with them. And they continued to travel. First they came to a place called Canaan. And Abram went up the hill to pray to God. And God came so close to Abram, and Abram came so close to God, that Abram knew that God was there too. So Abram built an altar to God. And the family kept going. Next, they came to Shechem. And Abram went out to the edge of the desert again, and prayed to God. And God came so close to Abram, and Abram so close to God, that Abram knew God was there too. So he built another altar to God. And the family kept traveling. When they finally came to a place near the Oaks of Mamre, and they settled and put their tent together, Abram went out to the edge of the desert again, and he prayed to God, and God prayed with him, and so Abram knew that God was there. He built another temple, another altar to God. But this time God had something else to tell Abram. He told Abram that he would be the father of the great family. And there would be as many people in the great family as there is sand in the desert and stars in the sky. Abram was to change his name to Abraham, and Sarai would become Sarah. Abram wasn't sure how he felt about this because he and Sarah were much older. One day, 3 strangers came out of the desert. Abraham was sitting by his tent. He invited them in, and Sarah mixed 3 measures of flour, which was a lot. She gave them bread and meat to eat, and the milk and the water to drink, as was custom those days. They told Abraham that he and Sarah would have a son. Abraham laughed. Sarah was standing out by the edge of the tent and heard them. She laughed too. They were too old. The 3 strangers went on their way. But do you know what happened? Sarah and Abraham had a boy, and they named him Isaac, which meant laughter in their language. When the boy was all grown up, Sarah died, and they buried her near the cave, in the cave near the Oaks of Mamre. Abraham was so lonely. He missed Sarah very much, but he had one more thing he had to do. He sent his most trusted helper back to the land of the people to find a wife for Isaac. Abraham's helper stopped by a well. In the evening, Rebekah offered to give him some water to drink. She then helped him and brought him back to meet her family. And the helper told Rebekah and her family all about Sarah and Abraham and the great family. Rebekah decided she would like to be part of the great family, so she went across the desert back to through Shechem and Bethel toward Hebron, back to Isaac and Abraham. Then Isaac saw her coming and came out to meet her, and they were married. Old Abraham was very tired and old and full of many years. He died and was buried with Sarah in the caves of Mamre. Then Isaac had children. Isaac and Rebekah had children. And their children had children, and their children had children, until your grandparents were born, and then your parents were born, and then you were born, and you became a part of the great family. There is as many people in the great family as there is sand in the desert and stars in the sky. I wonder, what was your favorite part of the story? Is there any part of my story that I could have left out and still had the same story? Do you see yourself in this story? I wonder. Okay, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed our story of the great family.